So we must do two things, two great things together to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself.
So let's see what that looks like now on the level of absolute Christian Science, where we ask the question, how does truth relate to every idea, every individual idea? Truth says in the Word, every idea is a sun, is the sun, small s. So it gives to every idea its sonship. That means that truth gives to every idea the quality of claiming truth. Every idea claims the truth, affirms truth, is heir to truth, is an heir to truth. You know, if you're an heir, you take possession of that which the Father has. You have everything. You lay claim to everything that the Father has. This is the truth about each idea, that every idea, being an idea of truth, takes possession of or is laying claim to everything that the Father life has. Everything that life is and has and is giving and expressing belongs to the idea, an idea of truth. And then in the Christ, we see that every idea is a specific truth. Every idea is the whole from a specific aspect, from a specific standpoint. Every idea is then an idea that is right, is a right idea. Thinking of that, what is that definition of man? Compound idea of God, including all right ideas. Yes, all right ideas, ideas that are absolutely right, that are one with truth, that are expressing the whole of truth. This is a right idea, and it is right under the specific circumstances, you see, that truth will give to each idea its rightness under certain circumstances, that it expresses the truth in a specific way, not as the idea would express truth in divine science, as the whole, but here each specific truth is a whole, as we will see science actually says that. In Christianity says that ideas are showing us the truth about everything, so that we have the truth about anything and everything, and that they are all illuminating. This is an unusual one, that sense of being all illuminating. In other words, that every idea throws the light of truth, you see, on its specific situation, its specific realm or field, its own realm or field of operation. And so that ideas are bringing out the illumination of truth. This is different than the light of mind. The light of truth and the illumination of truth show us that the light of mind now is fully diversified as a sevenfold light. That's the light of truth, and we have to remember that the wholeness of the sixth day is the fact that it does have 7 subtones, and so is telling us something about the whole, about all 7. And this is the all-illuminating truth. Yes, and there's the light of mind. This is a full, undifferentiated light. It's just that infinite light of mind. And through the seven, that light is differentiated. It is differentiated, and so we see the holism of that light. We see the spectrum, the spiritual or divine spectrum of that light, and it is fully expressed then as the light of truth, which illuminates everything. That light illuminates absolutely everything in the spiritual universe. We'll see that an idea of truth will bring that sevenfold light to everything. Whatever the specific idea is that may come to us in a situation, it will always come fully differentiated as a sevenfold light, that specific truth. And then in science, you see that science would say, well, then every idea is a compound idea. It is a whole. Every idea then is holistic itself, isn't it? It has its own form, its own gestalt, its own inner consistency, its own inner coherency, and can never stand on its own, but it is, you see, nested in the infinite idea of truth. Each idea of truth, specific, is nested in the further great wholeness of truth's idea itself as a whole. And it is nested there in an absolutely holistic way. In a way, its holism is its sense of order, how it, in divine science, you see, all the parts so-called are there. All the ideas as such are there. They're not in specific focus in divine science, but everything is there. And it is there in such a way that the general character of the whole idea of truth is carried out without any distraction, without any interruption or any inconsistency. It's an absolutely consistent and coherent realm of truth. And when we look at the individual idea itself, we see that the inner consistency of each idea is, again, holistic. An idea will partake of the whole of truth, of the whole nature. You see, perhaps enlarge our sense of what the whole is, that we don't just see that it's all seven, but that it is also the calculus. So an idea, being holistic, will be an expression of the fourfold calculus. It will be an expression of the whole system of being. It brings that with it, has that with it. Just think, every time that you work something through on the basis of science and you follow that line of light, perhaps you follow that line of the light of truth, that you are being led to the specific truth in the situation, that there's a natural line that leads us to the specific truth. And when you are led to the specific truth, that truth has absolutely everything in it that has been specified really through the Christ. Through the workings of the Christ, has been made specific so that it is absolutely perfect. It means it's absolutely perfect. You see that behind the scenes is working that law of truth, life, and love. And that what happens is that truth, life, and love is the law that takes the whole of truth, the whole of truth itself, say the whole of the truth of the infinite idea of truth, and individualizes it. That's life. So we have truth, life. So the Christ individualizes that whole and doesn't leave it there. The Christ says, but that individualization has to be the right. It has to be right for the situation. It has to be right under the circumstances. And so that which is individualized is perfectly adapted by love. You remember that law? Truth, life, and love. So what comes out of the working of that law of truth, life, and love in the Christ of absolute Christian Science is a specific truth that is absolutely right for the situation. And in that translatability from truth to specific truth, nothing is lost. Nothing is left behind. Nothing is forfeited. It's the whole that has been adapted to its specificity. We never drop off something of the system. We never drop off something of the seven or something of the calculus or something of the ability of an idea to translate itself and to come to every level, every plane, every situation, every circumstance. But a specific truth is truly, as science would see it, a compound idea. It is a whole. It is a whole truth, small t. Is that clear? This is what is going on in the activity of divine mind reading. You see, when we read ideas, or when we undertake to do what mind does, mind reads its own ideas, we approximate that fact that mind reads and knows its own ideas. And so when we are in a situation where we need to know what the specific truth is, we take that method of divine mind reading, where we go to mind, we begin with mind. We begin, as the Christ translation would show us, with God, because the order of the first translation is God, man, idea. And so we begin with God, and we see that taking the Word, beginning with the Word, that the Word has within itself the power to translate itself. Actually, you have God set forth in the Christ translation in the Christ order, showing you really that if you begin with God and come out from God, there is a divinely automatic process going on, a self-operation going on, that word translates itself. It's like saying, don't worry. When you have a specific problem and you are grasping, desperate to know the solution to that very particular thing, it's as though we're asked to do something which is counterintuitive, to go to the whole, of God. See? So we have to begin with the whole of truth, to go to the whole of the Word. The moment you do that, you are one with the translating power of the Christ, because the Word has the Christ within it. The Word is never separate from the Christ. So that Christ begins to translate itself. So that Christ order, begins with principle. As though to say, I, the Christ, begin with the whole truth of the Word. And this is a shorthand for that is principle. That the Christ takes the whole of that principle that is the Word and begins to show us how the translation takes place. That life, truth, and love show us the divinely subjective sense of that order. That order would say that this is the ideal, the whole ideal is present. When you go to the Word, you are immediately one with the whole ideal of being, life, truth, and love. And that ideal is ideal in every way. That's what you would see if you take the tonality of life, the tonality of truth, the tonality of love in the Christ order. It shows you that everything is there and that you are at one with a power, the power of life, the power of truth, the power of love, the power of life to individualize itself, to come forth, to flood forth, to bring forth and call forth the individualization of itself, the rightness of itself, to pour that forth, and that there is a sense of truth going on, that truth is conscious. It's conscious of the situation. From the highest standpoint, truth knows the situation. This is now the Christ order we're looking at, huh? So, truth is a conscious power. It isn't just conscious, but it's a conscious power. It knows what it has to do. It knows what needs to be done in the situation. It knows how to bring forth that which is ideal, an ideal truth. And love is a power. Love says, I am totally engaged. I, the Christ, truth. The whole of truth is totally engaged with you and is a power, a saving power, the power of salvation at work in the situation to bring that solution, that answer that is going to be absolutely perfect, that fits into a plan, that there is a plan at hand, and that plan is holistic, that every specific truth, whatever a specific truth is working out as a specific claim, will be integrated into the whole plan of salvation. So you can't, again, I think we had that sense that we can't work something out in isolation, that it will always be holistic, what we work out in science. It will always be everyone's demonstration. When we make a demonstration, everyone makes a demonstration. Isn't that beautiful? So the Christ at the point of love is that integrating power. But the Christ says that the whole of truth is coming to you specifically, and it's coming in such a way that I will not allow there to be a specific truth. There cannot be a specific truth that does not integrate into the whole plan of love, and therefore concern everyone, and concern everyone's salvation, and everyone's progress, and everyone's success. Isn't that beautiful? And so then we see that soul comes in, soul, spirit, mind. This is the divinely objective, or the objectification of the divinely subjective now. So soul says that there is a translating power at work. I'm translating, soul says, the whole of truth to the specific manifestation of truth. Translating it. Spirit says, I'm diversifying, classifying, individualizing the whole of truth, so that that which comes out of that ordering power of spirit is something absolutely unique. That spiritual truth that comes out is a reflection of the whole. It reflects the whole. It has everything within itself to render it whole. And yet it is not the whole, it is a whole that shows forth the whole of truth. It reflects the whole of truth. And then you have the power of mind, the power to make that manifest, the power to bring that forth, to show it forth, to show that it is doing something. It is working. It is at work. So we get the absolute appearance of that idea coming forth at the point of mind. So in a way we've just seen that law of interdependence between absolute Christian Science and Christian Science, that law of truth, life, and love, and then the law of the Christ in Christian Science, that law of principle, life, truth, and love, soul, spirit, mind. How a specific idea comes forth even within our own consciousness and will appear as the whole individualized, the whole specified, the whole adapted to the situation. Because we don't want a whole that is not adapted. It needs to have that love sense to it. We don't just want any old whole, and any old whole, the whole that is perfectly adapted. And we can be sure that because of the workings of the Christ, that every specific idea is a right idea, is the right idea. That's what truth means by being right.
Would DNA be a part but always reflects the whole? But wouldn't that bring out the whole of the person from a part?
Yes, it is a symbol in body, isn't it? That DNA. And actually they say that every part has the whole. Every part, every cell, yes. Every cell has the whole. So what is it that makes that part what it is? Huh? Do you know?
DNA is accentuated.
It's the accentuation, yes. It's the whole with a certain accentuation. Yeah. I guess you see this with the forming of a child from the embryo. I don't know much about that, really. But all that I know is that as the child grows, the differentiation becomes more and more distinct. And what seemed to be just not much of anything there, just an embryo, suddenly becomes something very, very distinct, with distinct features and aspects, and 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 hands, 1 head, 2 eyes, and all of those features come out of that one whole that seemed to be undifferentiated. So there is a terrific law of specification going on there, is there not? That would specify all of those so-called parts, which are really only accentuations of the whole. They are accentuations of the whole, and in biology today, I guess they can see that the whole exists at every point in the body, and every cell is that whole. So it's the accentuating that is the important thing, and that is what the Christ does. That's the office of the Christ, to accentuate, to express this feature, not that feature. And yet the whole remains a whole. It's a whole, isn't it? The final result is a whole.